Hey yogis, MaKenzie Fly here, mom, yogapreneur, teacher trainer, retreat leader, and your guide to master your yoga teaching. This podcast is your weekly dose of actionable wisdom and candid chats with industry experts. Learn to connect deeper, weave yogic magic, and lead by example. Full disclosure, I'm still mastering it too, but together we'll skyrocket your impact and income. Hit subscribe and let's grow, one episode at a time. What's up, everybody, and welcome back to MYYT, where you are learning to level up your yoga teaching one masterful class at a time. I am so excited. Today, I am heading to Radiance Music and Wellness Festival here in Las Vegas. It's my first year going, actually. And I couldn't be more thrilled to go because it seems awesome. It's basically my two favorite things, music and yoga all day. So sign me up, please. DJ Taz Rashid, who is actually a guest on the podcast, is going to be there. So I'm looking forward to meeting him in person and just taking a ton of classes. My husband and baby Finn are also going too. So it really is the best of all the worlds of having family and getting an opportunity to go outside. Vegas is actually stunning this time of year. I know it's summer and yes, it is very hot, but I enjoy that heat. I want the sun to kiss my skin. I've got this cute little outfit on. So I am feeling really pumped and excited to go. But today in this episode, I wanted to share with you a story that I found, I guess, really years ago. And I've used this story a couple times in classes as a theme. Something that I really love to do is help yoga teachers understand the art of theme weaving and leverage the skill of storytelling to elevate their teaching and the class experience to a much more heightened level. It can be challenging. This is a tricky thing to do, especially when you've never really experienced yourself this happen on the mat when you're the student. And it's an even harder thing to do if you don't really understand how to do it. So what I want to help you here and now with is number one, finding that really inspirational thing, because that's a big piece of it, is just what works as a theme. If you don't choose a good theme material, it usually flops. So I want to help you here by just giving you a really sound piece of motivational material. This story I actually found on a YouTube clip with Sadhguru, and it's pretty cute. So I'm just going to go right into it and tell you when you can drop these thematic cues in your next yoga class. So let's say that you're within the first few minutes of class, maybe like the 5, 6, 7 minute mark of class. And you could begin by saying, I recently heard this story. There were 3 people. A guy who was cutting an apple, a woman who was folding laundry, and then another man who was doing the dishes. And the guy who was cutting an apple, he was kind of going about his business. And all of a sudden, the woman who was folding laundry said, please be careful. It's a really sharp knife. And the other guy who was doing the dishes, he thought to himself, he's a full-grown man who knows how to use a knife. He's not a child. A knife is supposed to be sharp. And after that, go on and continue your yoga teaching as far as the yogasana or your pranayama practices. So that would be the first little breadcrumb, the first thematic cue that's bite-sized. Notice how I didn't expound upon the whole story right then and there, because the trap of that is that sometimes stories are long. And then your students are just kind of sitting there listening to you go through this almost like lecture, which is not necessarily what we're going for. And it doesn't really optimize the effects of withholding. It's a powerful thing to withhold on purpose and to not just open up your bag of tricks and spill out everything right at the very beginning. So this piques your students' curiosity. It lays foundation of intrigue of, I wonder what's going to happen next. And it also kind of foreshadows where you're going to go throughout the yoga class. So it takes them on this sort of like storytelling journey. And it's really, really effective. So you just want to do a little bite sized piece in the very beginning. Around the, let's say, like 15-minute mark, you could continue on the story by saying, where was I? Okay, so they all went back to their business. And in another 2 minutes or so, the woman again says, it's a very sharp knife. Please be careful. The guy who was washing the dishes says, leave him alone. It's a knife, not a rocket ship. He can handle it. It's just a knife. And the woman, she says, no, 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 it's a very sharp knife. And in another 2 minutes, she whispers again, please be careful. It's a very sharp knife. And then the man who was cutting the apple inevitably cut his finger. Again, continue to go on cueing your postures, whichever sequence you're in. Um, you want to continue driving the actual class forward as far as cueing the postures. Notice with the 2 breadcrumbs that I've already given you, how it's only maybe like 2 or 3 sentences max. And you want to deliver the story just like you're talking to a friend. You don't want it to sound too formal or like anything out of the ordinary or extra special. You're just talking like you're talking to a friend so that it sounds really conversational. Around that halfway point or even a little bit past that halfway point, you could say something like, you're probably wondering what this story has to do with yoga. Well, according to the yogis, our mind is like a tool. It's like a knife. But if left untrained, we aren't skillful users of this tool and we wind up harming ourselves. This particular breadcrumb is really important. It's kind of the heart of the message in some ways because it does the most important thing, which is relating this story back to the yoga tradition. And I was chatting with Ruby Chandler. She was also a guest on the podcast, who offered tons of stuff. Make sure you check out her episode if you missed it. But we were saying that that's usually the thing that either newer yoga teachers get wrong, or this is the moment that's often missed when it comes to storytelling. And it makes the theme kind of fall flat when you don't clearly articulate why you're telling this. What you don't want is your student to be sitting there like, why is she, why is he saying this? I don't understand why they're talking about this. And so really simple phrases that can help you do that is, this relates to yoga because, or this is important because this is exactly kind of what yoga is teaching in these ways. And you outline why there's that connection. Again, continue cueing on your yoga postures or your breathing techniques wherever you are in your class, and see how you're kind of dropping these little bite-sized pieces all throughout the class. It's not heavy-handed on the front end, and then there's like nothing until Savasana. There's these bite-sized bits that are dropped 3, 4, 5 times throughout class so that the student is hearing these thematic cues many times, and it seems really woven throughout the class, the entirety of the class, not just at the beginning and the end. So that way it feels like it's very much part of the whole experience as opposed to kind of bookending the experience. Around the 45-minute mark, you want to say something like, we all have this problem. We don't know how to use the tool of our minds for what they were designed for. And instead, we wind up harming ourselves, just like the man cutting himself on the apple, cutting himself with the knife while cutting the apple. You have a sharp knife in your hand, but your hand, it's not steady enough. Or in other words, you have a sharp mind, but you aren't a skillful user. The practice of yoga helps this problem. Okay, so I did many things there. The most important is that I showed them how their normal life behavior is like the story. So made it very clear that this metaphor or this story is a metaphor for how they usually operate, that when you operate unconsciously or blindly, that in many ways you're actually harming yourself. And that's what this story is trying to show you. That's what the story is trying to illuminate. And so I've made it very clear that the sharp knife is your sharp mind. Okay, so you want to like bridge the gap of, again, how this story relates to yoga, but also what this analogy is trying to help them become aware of in their body. Like, why does this story matter? Why should they care? Keep continuing on your yoga class. You're kind of getting near the end of your class, probably that downward arc of being more in the passive postures, that more yin section before you're moving to the finishing or the close of class. The fifth and final breadcrumb does come at the end of class. And this is really where you want to put the bow tie on the whole experience, answer any last remaining kind of questions, or just make it really clear how this is going to help them off the mat and in the world when they're living their lives. So you could say something like, the answer is not in blunting the blade, only in steadying the hand of the user. Because of your yoga practice, you're now a more skillful user of your equipment. Carry this wisdom of skillful action off the mat and into the world. Okay, so I love this breadcrumb because you could even, if you have more time in your class, you could really expound upon this idea too, that usually what we do as humans is blunt our blades. We dull our senses with whatever it may be, whatever is our vice. You know, we reach for the extra glass of wine. We go shopping at midnight on Amazon. We do whatever it is that we do to help us not feel our feelings fully. That's our habit. That's our propensity if left unchecked. And the yoga practice is saying, no, it's not in blunting the blade, but it's in sharpening our skill and using this very, very powerful tool of our mind. And so, yeah, that itself is a really inspiring message for your students to kind of wrap their brain around. And this is the way that I would kind of weave this story throughout the class. Again, so it has 5 breadcrumbs at the beginning, sort of around the 10, 15-minute mark, halfway mark, 45-minute mark, and at the close, 55 minutes or 60 minutes. And that's assuming if you are teaching around a 60-minute class. Please feel free to adapt to be longer if your class is more than just 1 hour. I've already given you a little idea of how to weave stories in your yoga teaching, but I have so much more to offer you on this topic. So if you are interested, please keep listening because I would love to share with you a helpful resource that I have been creating. This will be the last episode of this kind where I tell you a story that I found and help you kind of understand how to use it in your next yoga class. But I'll still be creating content like this because I know some of you are probably sad, like, oh, these are my favorite episodes where you tell me a story and you help me understand how to use it in my next yoga class. So I'll still be creating content like this. It's just now going to be shared in, drum roll please. It's just now going to be shared in Inspired Flow Monthly. I wish I had something like this when I graduated YTT. And to be honest, throughout my 12 years of teaching, sometimes it's just nice for somebody else to do the work for you. So what this is it's a subscription for yoga teachers that's going to help banish that dreaded feeling of, oh, what am I going to teach in my next yoga class? I would love to put a ready to go flow in your back pocket once a month. At the start of the month, you will receive a cohesive class plan PDF with a theme like the one that I just shared and 2 playlists, one with lyrics that mirror the messaging in the theme and one without lyrics, as well as intelligent sequences that, when possible, also mirror the messaging. And this is why I call it a cohesive class plan. And best of all, what really makes it cohesive is that everything is centered around that meaningful message. So this gives the classes a ton of heart. This is what makes the classes really inspiring. In fact, more than that, really impactful for your students. It gets better. Subscribers will also receive access to a members portal where the class plan of the month will safely be stored. Okay. And in that portal, I'm going to include demonstration videos of the sequences where I'll help you understand the transitions. I'll offer other variations like modifications or intensifications. And the class plan of the month lives there until the next month when it is replaced with brand new content. I really wanted to sweeten the deal for the founding members. So here is what I'm going to do. I am going to throw in the Inspired Flow Monthly Library at no extra cost to the people who sign up within the first month of launch. This library will house all of the expired content, keeping a vault of cohesive class plans that are ready to go. After the first of the month, this library is going to be sold separately, and the price increases when a new class plan is added. So the founding members are really getting this at a steal. Okay, so who is Inspired Flow Monthly for? Inspired Flow Monthly was built for vinyasa yoga teachers who are either over or under prepared. If it takes you hours to put together a class and you feel like you obsess, you overthink, you scrutinize, this is for you. If you don't prepare at all and you always show up and kind of just hope for the best and it either feels like everything really falls flat or there's full of flubs, this is for you. If you're a newer teacher with an abundance of overwhelm and self-doubt or fear of failure, this is for you. If you're a seasoned teacher who's really struggling with burnout and boredom, this is for you. Okay, if you're still listening, I know you're thinking, this is exactly what I need. So here's all the pricing details. Inspired Flow Monthly will only be $27 a month. Or if you pay annually, you'll actually get 2 months for free when you sign up for the year. Remember, founding members will get a bundle of both the monthly drop and the bonus library. Inspired Flow Monthly doesn't launch until June 10th, 2024. So at the time of this recording, you can get on the wait list by heading to the link in the show notes. For June 10th, get on the wait list and keep your eyes on your email because I'm even going to send an early bird discount to my inner circle. And to everybody that's listening, I want to give you a sample class for free so that you can try it out before you buy. Check out inspiredflowmonthly.com and look for the sample section to get your hands on a free cohesive class plan and see if this is really truly for you. I'm so excited for the launch of Inspired Flow Monthly. I know that this subscription is going to make such a difference for all of the yoga teachers out there who either love or love to hate class planning. I hope you found this story inspiring and that you feel equipped to take a crack at sharing it in your next yoga class. And I know that I'll see some of you inside Inspired Flow Monthly subscription. Until then, keep sharing your light, keep spreading the gift of yoga. And until next Wednesday, namaste blessed. Thanks for listening. If this is your first time, peruse our feed to see if there's something else that will serve you. We're so grateful that you're here and invite you to join our inner circle by subscribing to our newsletter. If this episode resonated with you, help us spread the word by sending it to a friend who needs to hear this message. Likes, follows, sends, shares, and reviews help us to continue delivering high-quality content to you for free each and every week. Don't forget to tag @MasterYourYogaTeaching so we can reshare. I am a certified yogi. However, this podcast is intended for information and entertainment only. If you are interested in mentorship or coaching with me, check out the website linked in the show notes to get more information. This content and other content produced by CLW Studios and affiliated partners is not therapy, and nothing in this content indicates a therapeutic relationship. Any opinions of guests on the podcast are their own and do not represent the opinions of MaKenzie or CLW Studios. Learn more about MaKenzie, her guests, and CLW Studios by following the links in the show notes. Keep shining, and we will see you next Wednesday for another dose of Master Your Yoga Teaching. Namaste blessed.